We've already covered many worthwhile relic effects in our previous videos, so if you haven't seen those, make sure to check them out. Now let's move on and look at the relic effects you should avoid and why they don't work well in reality.
Let's start with one of the most common effects: Arcane, Dexterity, Faith, Intelligence or Strength +1, 2 or 3. These boosts can be helpful, but they are also a bit misleading. In Elden Ring Nightreign, some stats are hidden and kept at certain values. At lower levels, a small stat boost can slightly improve your impact. But as your stats climb higher while leveling up, especially when you have A or S scaling, these bonuses lose most of their effectiveness. In almost all cases, a flat power-up effect, like magic attack power-up or physical attack power-up, will perform just as well or better. But there is one nuance. A stat boost applies to all damage that scales with that stat. For example, if you are holding a fire weapon, a +3 strength boost increases both the physical and fire parts of its damage. A power-up effect only strengthens one type of damage, so physical attack power-up works exclusively on the physical part, and fire attack power-up only on the fire part. Though if you manage to get a power-up +2 effect, that will always beat any stat boost. So pure stat increasing isn't trash, it's just outclassed. Overall, we prefer power-up effects. They are more transparent, consistent, and generally stronger when matched to your build. Next, let's talk about relic effect categories that are way too situational and seem questionable because of that.
Some effects reduce incoming elemental damage by 10%. This sounds like it could be useful, especially if you're aware of the Knight's Sovereign damage type. But it's only 10%, and you're stuck with that for the entire run. If you want a stable and versatile option, it's almost always better to increase maximum HP. During the run, you'll find plenty of items with passives and bonuses that can reduce all kinds of damage at once. The same goes for improved ailment resistance, which gives +75 resistance to a specific ailment. The bonus is not too bad, and it can help in fights with bosses like Libra, Caligo, Augur, or even Gnoster. But why lock a relic slot for that when you can just go to the camp with the suitable boluses to boost your resistance instead?
The first team-related effect is: allies are healed for 20 HP every time you kill an enemy. There are some conditions. Most boss fights don't include too many mobs, so it's useless in the hardest single boss battles. Your allies also need to stay close to you, which could only potentially work for melee teams. The next one has similar issues. Raised stamina recovery for nearby allies, but not for self. It gives +4 stamina recovery per second to nearby allies. But if your team spreads out across the battlefield, the effect doesn't work at all. Finally, there is increased rune acquisition for self and allies. It boosts rune gain for your whole party by 3.5%, which makes some sense for leveling faster. But if you ask us, it's only worth taking as a bonus effect on a relic that already has something amazing. If you actually build around it, you are likely wasting a relic slot that could give you real combat power.
The following relic effects technically give you a bonus, but the impact is so limited they're just not worth a relic slot. For example, 10 stamina recovery per second for 15 seconds after a critical hit, and gain 5% ultimate art gauge on critical hit. In truth, critical hits are sometimes the last hit you land before an enemy dies, so you don't even enjoy the benefit. If you've built entirely around critical hits, these effects may be a decent side bonus. But we think you should never waste a relic slot on these as a core effect. Another weak one is Ultimate Art Gauge +1, 2 or 3. It passively fills your art gauge 5%, 7.5% or 10% faster while in combat. Even the +3 version is disappointing. At best, it gets you to your ultimate just a few seconds earlier.
FP restoration can sometimes seem attractive, especially for melee builds that often use weapon skills. Let's look at effects like restores 5% of max FP after continuous attacks, and restores 1 FP with each attack with the weapon type. From our experience, they only give you enough FP for 1 to 3 extra skill uses. On top of that, the map already gives you plenty of ways to restore FP. Sites of grace are frequent, starlight shards can be found or bought, and there are relics that straight up grant you several shards from the start, each one instantly restoring 60% of your FP. Now it's character-specific effects' turn. The first ones we want to talk about are related to Totem Stela, Raider's ultimate art. Technically, any Nightfarer can equip these relics, but they only become useful if you are playing as Raider or if Raider is on your team. First effect is heals 20% of your max HP for each enemy defeated near the Totem Stela. In practice, it's very restrictive. You have to stay close to the stone, and you also need several enemies for it to work. Another one halves stance damage taken near the totem. Again, not terrible, but can poise become a game changer during those 20 seconds of active Stela? We don't believe so. In theory, you could build your whole gameplay around Raider's ultimate art. But think back, how many times has that stone actually gotten in your way during a fight instead of helping? And now, compare that with more direct, reliable relic effects we covered in the previous video.
For Recluse, there's a relic effect that says, after activating ultimate art, gain plus 30% max HP for 30 seconds. At first glance, it's a great bonus considering how squishy she normally is, but the chance of realizing the potential of the health boost for non-tanky character in those short 30 seconds is scarce. As for Iron Eye, one relic effect says, after executing ultimate art, thrusting counterattacks deal plus 20% damage for 30 seconds. To activate this, you need to use ultimate art, then shoot your arrows while the enemy is attacking within a 30-second window. First, your bonus is bound by the art gauge and is mostly on hold. Second, you need an enemy that will actually survive the initial ultimate shot. Too many conditions to our liking, and a big chance that your relic effect potential just goes away. Another effect impacts Iron Eye's character skill. Mark duration extended from 17.5 seconds to 20 seconds. That's only a 2.5 second increase. For a whole relic slot, that's almost nothing, but it still can be used as an additional boost. There's one more really controversial effect tied to Duchess. She becomes difficult to spot and gets silenced footsteps after landing critical from behind. Against a single enemy, stealth means little, and in group fights you'll get spotted anyway without additional effects like less likely to be targeted or invisibility. Do let us know if you see more sense in this effect that we didn't notice.
Now it's time to talk about the frankly trashy relic effects. The ones we certainly don't recommend wasting a slot on. First up, recovers 1 HP per second. That's an outright tiny value. And in a fast-paced game like Nightreign, it's basically useless. To that, we'll add eating cured meats and boluses restores 20 HP. We don't eat boluses on a regular basis, and 20 HP is not a convincing amount. Next, the relic effect, throwing knife, pot, stone, perfuming arts, damage plus 15%. We don't build around consumables or know anyone who does, but let us know in the comments if you do. A 15% buff on already weak damage makes little sense in our case. The same applies to items in possession at start of expedition, such as magic pots, greases, etc. There are already tons of them in chests and boxes across the map. The only crucial exceptions are stone sword keys and starlight shards. Small pouch in possession at start of expedition effect gives 1 extra inventory slot. That's pretty pointless when you can buy an affordable small pouch from a merchant. Another group of effects we rank low are the compatible armament skills, like Y Shadow's Lure, Quick Step, Endure, Storm Stomp or Glint Blade Phalanx. They simply don't accomplish anything significant, and you will most likely replace your starting weapon at the earliest opportunity anyway. One more gem of trash. Gain 300 runes when landing a critical hit. Critical hits don't happen too often, and 300 runes is absolutely nothing. That's not a relic bonus, that's pocket change, straight up garbage.
And finally, the crown jewel of garbage. The absolute worst relic in the entire game is given to us by none other than the Nightreign Scam King, Libra. This is the Knight of the Demon relic. Let's break down its 3 life-changing bonuses. First up, huge rune discount for shop purchases while on expedition. It's just minus 20% shop prices. The most expensive merchant item costs 42,000 runes. This relic saves you 8,400 in this case. And here's the kicker, you don't even need to buy that item most of the time. Everything else is cheaper, often useless, and you're stuck wasting a relic slot for a lousy coupon. There's also a similar effect on random relics with a 10% discount, so we guess we should appreciate Libra's generosity after all. Next bonus.
Wait.
Yep, just sitting down builds up madness. Thanks, Libra. Aha, but here's the catch. It stacks with the next OP effect. Madness continually recovers FP. This one restores 2 FP per second for 25 seconds. That's a total of 50 FP. You have to literally sit down in the middle of the battlefield, let madness build up, damage yourself, and then, finally, after 25 seconds of waiting, you get 50 FP back.
And right now, you can save £50 per person.
Truly, a scammer's relic from a scammer boss.
So, what do you think of our worst relics list? Do you agree? Or maybe you've actually found some hidden potential in these effects that we just failed to see. Let us know in the comments, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out our videos on the best relics. They're already up on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care out there, Nightfarers.